There is really something unusual happening here. Hello and welcome to Squatchspot.com. I'm Darren Smith and we are currently out in the field here near Goat Mountain, which is just along Road 426 outside of Oakhurst, California near Bass Lake. Now, this area has had a tremendous amount of Sasquatch activity over the years. In fact, since I moved to this general vicinity, I have received over a dozen reports from the locals saying they were seeing Sasquatch cross this little stretch of Road 426. And I think there's a very good reason why the Sasquatch is being spotted in this area. You see on the opposite side of the road there where Goat Mountain is, that leads up into the backcountry and the higher Sierra Nevada mountains, and it's very desolate, rugged terrain. And on the opposite side of the road here, we have a ridge line that has a number of homesteads, and there's an abundance of crops up in this area, orchards, gardens, and also an abundance of farm animals. And I think what's happening here is the Sasquatch is coming out of the backcountry, coming down off of Goat Mountain, crossing Road 426 to access those food sources up there. And since I moved to this area, I have spent an incredible amount of time investigating Goat Mountain, Road 426 and the surrounding areas. And I have had some incredible happenings occur here that I absolutely believe were Sasquatch related. Goat Mountain has a reputation of being haunted. And since my initial investigation of this area, I have had some incredible happenings. I have received over a dozen reports from the locals of Sasquatch being spotted crossing this little stretch of Road 426. I've discovered footprint impressions on a number of occasions. I've collected some very compelling audio recordings, discovered meticulously groomed game trails running throughout the area, and while conducting late-night maneuvers in this area, I saw possible red eye shine, and following a very close proximity tree fall, I captured some truly amazing FLIR footage that many believe is of a Sasquatch. I have conducted a thorough investigation of Goat Mountain and the surrounding areas. I have spoken with many locals and Native Americans who live in the nearby communities, and based on my investigation and reconnaissance, I am convinced that the Sasquatch are moving through this area. However, it is very seasonal, though this time of year is the perfect time to be conducting nighttime surveillance. Yeah, unfortunately, tonight we have a little weather, so we do have a light rain at the moment. Okay, unfortunately, we are getting a little bit of weather out here, and I've got a lot of the electronics here getting wet. So I am going to have to put up the equipment here, and we're going to have to abort our evening maneuvers here. But I do think I would like to do some driving in the area just to see if we can spot anything along the road. So I'm going to head back to the vehicle, and we could do some driving through these mountain roads to see if we could pick up anything. I continued driving along the mountain roads for a considerable amount of time, stopping from time to FLIR the roadside. However, I did not come to any conclusion that the Sasquatch were in the area, and as I had plans for a full day of investigations the following morning, I decided to head home and get some rest. We are heading into that area that I've been investigating for several weeks now, and I have done numerous episodes up in this area. And having done a lot of reconnaissance using Google Earth and also investigating the area for the considerable time now, I do think there is something unusual happening up in this area, and I absolutely see why this particular area would be enticing to the Sasquatch. And I really think, based on the stuff that I'm finding up in this particular area and the unusual happenings that have occurred, I do think that the Sasquatch could very likely be in the area. So we are heading back up into that location to continue our investigation. As I hiked into the location we have been investigating, I discovered some tracks in the snow. Based on the positioning of these tracks, it does appear that the animal that left them was a quadruped. So I wanted to take a good look at these tracks so as to rule out bear. During this time of year in early spring, it is really not an ideal situation to be running into a bear in the woods. They are generally not in a good disposition when waking up from hibernation, and they could be potentially aggressive. However, after examining these tracks, I have come to the conclusion they are deer tracks. I have mentioned this numerous times on previous videos, but I think the parabolic microphone is without a doubt one of the best pieces of equipment you can have as a Sasquatch researcher, because you can move into an environment and you can sweep that environment for any sort of indication that the Sasquatch are in the area. These creatures are large, and they do make noise when they are moving about in the forest. So if they are moving about in an environment and you have a parabolic microphone and you are sweeping the area, for sure you're going to hear them moving. And also if they're sitting stationary, a lot of times a Sasquatch will make soft cooing noises and whooping noises. So you'll definitely be able to hear if a Sasquatch is in the area. And what's nice about the microphones is they can hear an extreme distance. And already sweeping this environment, I have heard some woodpecker in the area, busy at work. And I also heard way off in the distance gunfire. So it does sound like there is some hunting activity happening on one of these other ridges in the area. But for sure it was at an extreme distance because I can hear it echoing through the various valleys in the area. So again, if you are going to make a purchase for a piece of Sasquatch equipment, I would definitely put the parabolic microphone high up on that list of must-haves. Previously on Squatch Talk, we discussed some of the theories as to what are the Sasquatch. We looked at the possibility that the Sasquatch are an undiscovered primate or relic hominid. We turned to the Bible to explore the belief that the Sasquatch could be a banished figure from early creation, or the offspring of fallen angels who procreated with female humans. And we touched lightly on the amazing DNA studies that have been done on proposed Sasquatch evidence that supports the Sasquatch are a hybrid species consisting of female human mitochondria and an unidentified male chromosome. And on this episode, I would like to continue with this dialogue and open the door to some other realms. With the breakthrough studies in quantum theory, space exploration, and theology, there are a number of researchers and groups that believe the Sasquatch could be extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or some kind of spirit animal. Regardless of whether these creatures are from another world, realm, or dimension, there does seem to be a common theme among these groups regarding the Sasquatch's intelligence and their often described unique abilities. Throughout the Sasquatch investigation, there has been a great deal of discussion regarding these creatures' intelligence. However, when taking into consideration their ability to remain elusive, avoid exploitive technologies such as trail cameras, and gather resources undetected, it is clear these creatures do have impressive cognitive abilities. It has also been observed that these creatures seem to have rudimentary language, communicating by chest slapping, tree knocking, and various vocalizations, such as whoops, coos, and screams. However, there is also a lot of evidence that supports they may even have a more sophisticated language, consisting of vocal articulation. And there is even evidence to support the Sasquatch may have extremely advanced mental abilities, such as psychic abilities, thought transference, and even mind control. There have been numerous reports of individuals claiming to have received messages from the Sasquatch through thought transference. Multiple individuals who claimed of being immobilized or stunned during Sasquatch encounters. And there is even speculation that the Sasquatch has the ability to use infrasounds, which are low-frequency sounds that can provoke heightened anxiety states among humans. On rare occasions, the Sasquatch have been observed carrying or in the presence of some sort of unidentified technology. There are a multitude of reports of mysterious orbs of light being seen moving through the forests during Sasquatch encounters, and Sasquatch are often spotted moving beneath power lines, poking around nuclear facilities, power plants, and other industrial areas. And there are numerous reports the Sasquatch have the ability to dematerialize or cloak themselves, which is one of the reasons the Native Americans believed they were spirit beings. I have witnessed or have had some very unusual happenings during my Sasquatch investigation. I have encountered and witnessed significant equipment failure among researchers during Sasquatch encounters. On March 3, 2020, during my encounter with the Sasquatch, I believe I may have been subjected to infrasounds. I experienced an overwhelming sense of fear, lost track of time, and following this encounter, I discovered multiple digital files were missing from 3 of my recording devices. While conducting Sasquatch research in Oregon, I witnessed an unidentified orb of bluish light float past my tent in the dead of night. This small ball of light was moving slowly, without sound, and it could not have been ball lightning. I have also voiced concerns over the 54-year-old woman who has gone missing here in the Sierra Nevada mountains in July 2020, in very close proximity to where I had my encounter with the Sasquatch. This woman has been spotted twice since her disappearance, roaming the forest barefoot and in what was described as a dazed state. However, she is still able to elude search and rescue teams. There are numerous conspiracy theories regarding the Sasquatch, ranging from government cover-up to church truth suppression, and if the Sasquatch are visitors from another realm, I can understand why. However, if these creatures are so unusually advanced, why do they seem limited in their range? If they were interdimensional or had stealth technologies or abilities, I would think we would have more sightings in metropolitans or areas where resources were more readily available. However, these creatures seem restricted to very remote areas. And why would they choose to live such a primitive lifestyle, wandering the dark forests alone or in small family groups in search of basic needs, creating rudimentary stick structures and nests, and foregoing the lure of society? Based on established research, it does appear these creatures live here. Migration patterns have been identified. Sasquatch individuals have been recognized and observed for significant periods of time, spanning years, as they maintain a presence in a particular area habitat. And the varying subspecies being observed in other areas of the world, such as the Yeti in the Himalayas or the Yowie in Australia, to me, indicates an environmental evolution rather than a visitor from a faraway land. There are just too many unanswered questions. However, one thing I do know, these creatures are real and are roaming our forests. I'm certain of it. And if they are beings from another world or realm, the possibilities are endless. These beings could have the cure for cancer, be spiritually enlightened, or know the meaning of life. They could have extraordinary technologies and abilities that could save the world. And the thought of humanity making first contact with an alien species that is living among us would be absolutely extraordinary. So we have returned to that area that I've been investigating for the past several weeks, and I have done a number of episodes here. This is that particular environment that I've been experiencing a lot of emotional unease, and there's nothing particular foreboding about this environment. However, it just seems whenever I come into this area, I just have this sense of anxiety, and I'm not sure what's causing it. And I can't say that I'm really experiencing it this time, but I have experienced it on almost every previous venture into this area. So I do think there is something unusual happening here. And you did see on that one episode, I mentioned that I was catching movement out of the corner of my eye. And as I turned to look in that area, I saw what I can only describe as an area that was unfocused. And this area was moving slightly through the environment, and then it faded away fairly quickly. And there are a number of individuals out there who believe the Sasquatch has the ability to cloak itself, and also the Native Americans have offered that the Sasquatch has the ability to dematerialize. So that has very much intrigued me, because in this environment I was feeling very anxious and very uneasy. There were some other things that were happening in this area that kind of led me to believe that the Sasquatch may be in the area, and then I was experiencing this strange visual anomaly. Now, at first when I had this experience, I kind of dismissed it as a trick of light. However, I was experiencing it a lot in this area and in various lighting situations. So I don't think that this phenomenon could have been some sort of play of light. And also, I was only experiencing it in this particular environment here. I wasn't experiencing it hiking in or hiking out or heading into some of those other areas that I've been investigating in this general vicinity. So it was a phenomenon that seemed localized in this area. So I have come back to this location because I am hoping to catch this phenomenon on camera, which is why I'm here. And I am just going to kind of scour the area for any sort of clue that the Sasquatch may be in the area. And I'm just going to kind of move around and continue with my investigation of this area. I have mentioned this numerous times on previous videos. Although I do know that the Sasquatch does exist and they are roaming our forests, I have no idea what these creatures are or what they're capable of. And although we have a lot of very educated researchers investigating this phenomenon, and there are an abundance of theories as to what this creature may be, until we have that definitive scientific evidence to once and for all answer that question, unfortunately all we have at the moment is conjecture. And although I tend to think that these creatures are of flesh and blood, I do try to keep an open mind when conducting my research. And I've shared with you this device before. It's the device that the paranormal groups will take out into the field to detect electromagnetic fields. And I'm thinking that if the Sasquatch does have the ability to cloak itself, maybe it is using some sort of technology to do so, and maybe that technology will be putting off some sort of energy signature. So I am just going to scour the forest here, just kind of checking things out to see if I can get any sort of unusual readings on this device. Okay, you saw that. I've never experienced such a dramatic moving of this needle. I have experienced some registration of some sort of electrical energy. I was up in Oregon on an expedition and I was getting some unusual readings, but nothing so dramatic. So I honestly don't know what to make of this, only that we are out in the middle of the woods and I am picking up some very unusual readings on this device in that location that I have been experiencing a lot of emotional anxiety and have had some very unusual happenings. Now, there are rocks that will sometimes put off unusual signals, but there are no boulders in this area and in this general vicinity. And I have swept a lot of the rock formations that are in the area. I didn't come up with any readings. So this is really unusual. I've never experienced something like this before. So I don't know what to make of it, but I am going to continue moving around in this environment and continue with this investigation. Okay, I have used this device a lot in the field, and I have never experienced such dramatic readings on this thing before. I mentioned before I have used it in Oregon. I got some interesting readings, but nothing like this. The readings I'm getting here are very dramatic and very sporadic, so I can't say that it's an environmental object that's creating these unusual readings, like a rock or something like that. These readings are very sporadic. Sometimes the reading is very strong, and it'll be strong for quite a while, and then it'll start vibrating down, and then it'll go away. Like there was something there, then it moved. And then there are other times I've got the device, and it's not reading anything, and then the needle jumps, and it gets really high, and it goes nuts for a few seconds, and then goes away. So honestly, I don't know what's happening. I've never experienced this sort of phenomenon with this device. I'm in that unusual area that creates that emotional anxiety in me. I told you previously I was detecting motion out of the corner of my eye, and I was seeing some sort of blurred figure moving through the forest here. And now I'm getting some very unusual readings with this device, and I can't explain it. So if any of you out there watching this video has any sort of ideas what might be causing the sporadic movement of this needle and these sporadic readings that we're getting on this device, I would absolutely love for you to comment in the comment section below, because I've never experienced this before. I'm not sure what's going on, but this particular environment, for the past several weeks that I've been investigating it, has been an area of intrigue and concern. There is something very unusual happening in this particular forest, this place here, and I don't know what it is. Okay. There is really something unusual happening here. I'm catching that movement out of the corner of my eye again, And as I turn to look in that area, I'm seeing this blurred figure moving through the forest. Honestly, I don't know what it is. It seems to happen. It's happened a number of times now, and the lighting conditions, it can't be a trick of light. There's something unusual happening. I don't know if I could say it looks like a ghost. It just looks like a figure. It looks like a figure that's moving through the environment. I can't see any sort of particular shape. It's just an area that's blurry. That, like, the environment's blurry, and that blur is just moving. So I am filming a lot, just the area. I'm trying to capture this phenomenon on camera, because now it's happened a number of times while I was in this location in different lighting situations. Today it's very overcast. The other time I was here, it wasn't so overcast. It was a bright sunny day. So I don't think this is some sort of trick of light. I think there's something going on here. So I am going to continue filming the area. I'm taking pictures with the Nikon. I'm just trying to catch this phenomenon on camera. And I've already been at it for hours now. It's starting to get dark. I'm absolutely not going to be staying in this environment at nighttime tonight. I'm not so excited to do so. It is a very unsettling situation, and to be experiencing it at nighttime. The last time I was moving out of this area, I did have some encounters in the dark when I was heading back towards my vehicle that were unsettling. In fact, it got me to stop and hunker down in a location for a while. I broke out the FLIR, I scanned the area, and I remained stationary until I felt it was safe to start moving again. And with this snow, it has added another element of another environmental hazard. I remained in the area for a considerable amount of time, scanning the area with the EMF detector and trying to capture that visual anomaly on camera. However, I was not comfortable remaining in the area with the dark of night rapidly descending, and I eventually began my long trek out of the woods. I continued using the EMF detector as I hiked out of the woods to my vehicle. However, I did not obtain any readings on the device whatsoever once I had moved out of that particular area. Clearly, something very unusual is happening in that area. And although I am confident this particular area would be very enticing to the Sasquatch, I have not found any tangible evidence to conclude that they are. And I cannot be certain that the strange occurrences I have been experiencing in the area are Sasquatch related. However, there are a lot of very credible researchers and eyewitnesses who believe the Sasquatch do have extraordinary abilities that even include rendering themselves invisible. I do believe something out of the ordinary is happening in this particular location, and although I find this investigation unsettling, I will be returning to this area to continue my efforts. And until next time, I'm Darren Smith, and I'll see you here at Squatchspot.com.